So, first and foremost, we'd like to thank everybody who's listening to our podcast, smartphone, tablets, or wherever you listen to podcasts with your Anchor app, Spotify, Castbox, Google Podcasts, however you listen to us. Thank you very much for listening to the Platitude Era. And for those of you watching our YouTube podcast visually on the YouTube's at Platitude Era, we thank you as well. And in this episode of the Platitude Era podcast, we are going to be reviewing Dumbo the movie. So I'm going to let you, since you're the guest, go first and tell me your thought.
Say!
Yeah, starting off with the story first, I think this is how you're supposed to do a remake or a reboot. You take some pre-existing material and you make it your own. In this story, it wasn't just a beat-by-beat remake of the original animated Dumbo classic. This was more of, okay, Dumbo exists, we know the story, let's do something different with it.
That's interesting. I kind of feel the opposite. I was thinking, well, because apparently the original movie, there's not a whole lot going on for it, but like, I'm just staring at the Disney slate of movies for the next 15 years. I'm like, oh, there's nothing original or creative on your slate. It's just a bunch of remakes. It's pretty boring.
But as far as all the live-action adaptations of the animated classics, did you like this idea that they did something different, or would you have preferred it was like Beauty and the Beast or Jungle Book, where it was really close to the source material?
I'm kind of on split sides because, well, I guess Dumbo couldn't talk, but it was interesting that none of the animals could talk. Like, I mean, you already had Jungle Book, and that was a wild success, and that was pretty much beat for beat the same thing as the animated cartoon. And then this movie takes a slightly different spin where there's no talking animals, and, you know, it still has Dumbo, but it doesn't feel like the central character per se. So, I mean, props for trying, but I mean, me.
And also with this story, you have, in the animated cartoon, every time I watched it as a little kid, it took my breath away to see an elephant fly. And in this one, I don't know, I didn't really get excited to see Dumbo fly.
Well, because it's not great CG. All the VFX studios are busy working on Endgame.
Ah, you bring up a good point there. Because, I mean, there were some scenes where Dumbo would be flying, but it's one of those things where, you know, they put the camera still, and then Dumbo flies by the camera, kind of like one of those shots that's supposed to be awe and aspiring.
Yeah, like I'm watching the movie and, like, you know, it's like, oh, elephant flying, wow, amazing. And then you put this like this rhythmic score behind it, like, ooh, it's swelling, oh, it makes me feel a bunch of stuff. But I'm like, I don't really care. But then there's like shots from the circus. I'm like, oh, look at all that choreographed dancing, and look at all that like entertainment, like classic vaudeville looking like entertainment. Boy, I wish the circus was still around. I wish they stopped killing all those elephants and Barnum and Bailey or the Ringling Brothers were still around. Like, that was more entertaining. Maybe that's why whatchamacallit, Greatest Show was so successful, because it was just kind of circusy stuff. And I'm like, CG boring. Fun circusy stuff. Boy, I would love to go to a circus one day now.
I felt the same way too. I saw the look and the being in the circus atmosphere, and I said, wow, I want to go to a circus too. Then I remembered, oh, circuses are dead because of low attendance and animal controversy.
Yeah. I'll say this though, the art design or whatever, I mean, it looks pretty good, and it just makes me think maybe not Tim Burton, but whoever's behind the art design for this movie should really have a hand in that BioShock movie whenever that gets made.
Oh, good point. Let's start a petition. Anyone listening, go on changes.org and start a petition to have the people that worked on Dumbo make the BioShock movie.
Maybe not. Maybe not Disney.
Going on to the look, you're right. Tim Burton has a really unique look, and just the way that he shot this film, and like you said, the art direction, it looked like we're watching a documentary, or we were transported to the past.
It does have that old feel, but I mean, there's so much CG, and none of it really looked real to me. Everything kind of looks like it has like a like just a slab of Vaseline over it. It just nothing looks correct or right. It does kind of look old timey, like the visually it has like a more older flair to it. Things look like a little less saturated, less color going on for it. So it kind of transports you to that time, but the whole affair just feels very CG and fake.
And that's where we differ. When I saw it, yeah, I felt like I was transported to the world of Tim Burton, the world of Dumbo. I felt like I was in that time period.
Yeah, like I mean, it does have good art direction. It does make me yearn for a movie, more movies set in this time period with this kind of art style.
Now, what about the story? This was a slightly different story from previous reboots and remakes. First, going back to Christopher Robin, where the underlying story there was, we have to save the company from these greedy businessmen. And then in the Mary Poppins reboot, remake, we have to save our house from the greedy bank. Now, this one was a little different. This one was about a big corporation buying the little corporation. And I know you and I joked about this. This was like what pretty much what Facebook does when they bought Instagram and they bought WhatsApp, all these little small developers.
Yeah, this is just Disney buying Fox the movie.
What'd you think of the acting?
Uh, I can say I mean, Danny DeVito stood out to me, even though he was essentially just playing himself, which is just a slight variation of Frank from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. The kid's kind of blue. Colin Farrell did nothing for me. Ava, what's her nose?
Green.
She was fine. Michael Keaton, he should play more bad guys. I liked him in The Founder. Not as much as in this. He was fine, I guess. Everything felt pretty meh to me. I'd like to see Danny DeVito in more things. Put Danny DeVito in everything. Replace Ryan Reynolds for Detective Pikachu with Danny DeVito, just like he was intended to.
I felt the same way. Danny DeVito, I just enjoyed watching his acting style. This is something I haven't seen him do before. A character with a big heart and just ropes your heart into the story. My experience with Danny DeVito was in the 80s, where he was always playing the streetwise guy, taking advantage of people. For example, in Twins, how he was taking advantage of his good-natured, innocent twin brother, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and also how he's always trying to one-up people in Sunny in Philadelphia and just take advantage of people. But in this one, I really liked his performance, and I really liked the heart that his character portrayed and how he portrayed that character.
Yeah, he should have been like a closer analog to whatever Hugh Jackman's character was in Greatest Show. I would have liked to see him, I guess, more as a central character than those snot-nosed little shits that nobody cares about.
You brought up a good point, because in this movie, Danny DeVito was selling you an illusion, selling you an imagination, whereas Michael Keaton's character, he was a poser, he was a fake, he was selling you something that wasn't real. He even had like some kind of a catchphrase that inspired people. Yeah, where he said, come to my theme park or my circus where we make the impossible possible.
Yeah, as a kind of a snake oil salesman. They could have been a lot more developed with this, but the boring ass children that are not interesting, don't really have much personalities, weren't really well fleshed out, and all the adults, I guess, are a little more interesting. And there's a whole like cavalcade of like freaks, but they barely have anything to do in this movie. You got the strong man and the mermaid, but like they have a couple lines. I don't know, it could have been a greater ensemble cast, but it's kind of meh.
I agree as well. I wish the circus performers had a little more to do, because I guess we'll have to get into the spoilers of what happens to them. And
It's
that
Dumbo. What spoilers?
that was their time to shine for the circus performers, but they missed out on an opportunity. And as far as Colin Farrell and Eva Green, it seemed like a lot of people have said, the original Dumbo was a really short story, and this one they padded it out with more story. And I guess they had too much story developed for Colin Farrell and Eva Green, but they ran out of time, or I guess the CG budget for a flying elephant cost too much, but they weren't able to develop them. They just had planted little seeds of, this is Colin Farrell's backstory, and this is what he's going to do throughout the story, as well as for Eva Green. And then once it came time to harvest, there was nothing to harvest because the season wasn't spring wasn't over with, or the harvest season wasn't at its peak, and they said, well, that's it, that's all we have for today, thank you for watching.
Yeah, it was too many half attempts. There's too many half attempts. Like not enough like full-fledged ideas. Dumbo feels half-assed. All the characters feel half-assed. CG feels half-assed. Everything feels just very lackluster, and it didn't amaze. Like for a movie about a flying elephant, it didn't amaze me.
Oh, and how careful they were to avoid any racist stereotypes. I remember the animated cartoon, how they talked about the crows, or what were the birds called? The ravens.
Yeah, I know what you're talking. The Jim Crows. I don't know. I'm pretty sure one of them was called Jim.
Yeah, the Jim Crows. They completely avoided them. No Easter egg, no hint or nothing. Like most people said, there was a cameo by the mouse in this movie. I don't know if it was Mickey or the mouse from Dumbo, but there was a mouse.
It was a mouse
cameo.
from Dumbo. It was a mouse with the little marching band outfit, circus whatever outfit. He didn't do nothing. Like see the mouse cameo is a perfect metaphor for this movie. Is hey, it shows you a thing, but it wasn't really satisfying or interesting. You don't care.
And then what about the theme, the general story? Is it free animals or cage animals are wrong?
I guess sure. It feels very safe and vanilla, and feels like it's trying to be on the right side of his. The little girl likes science. Let's empower women to do more or something. But like, I didn't care about the girl, so I don't. I like science. Thus, okay. It reminded me of the female protagonist from like the most recent Pirates of the Caribbean, where she said she likes science, and I'm guessing Disney's just shoving that in because they have to, or like they want to feel progressive, but it just feels like a hollow cash grab to try and like a fake way to cash in on current political climates, what have you. I can probably tell you none of the little girls that walked out of the movie theater say, boy, I can look at this boring little girl as a role model.
She loves science, and I guess there were so many opportunities where she could have applied science or used science.
She loves science because she said
it. But she didn't follow through.
She kept saying, like, how did you make the elephant fly? Oh, we use a scientific method. So, like, you didn't really show the scientific method or anything. He sniffed a feather and then he could fly. That was your scientific method. The science behind an elephant flying is he sniffed a feather.
And what's your recommendation for this movie?
Skip it. No, you don't need to see it. If you have like dumb little babies and you want to keep them occupied for like an afternoon, just go watch a matinee with it, I guess.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Save your money for Endgame. For the numerous times you'll watch Endgame in IMAX on IMAX 3D, and then a matinee, and then on a Friday night and a Saturday night with your friends, and then the Monday morning when you're trying to skip out on work.
Well, this is where we differ. My recommendation for this movie is watch it if you get a chance. This is a little higher than
well, how'd you feel about what was the last remake? It was on the tip of my tongue. Christopher Robin. You liked that one, did you?
No, I didn't like that one.
And you didn't like Mary Poppins?
I didn't like Mary Poppins either.
And whatever other Disney remakes that have been out.
Beauty
you didn't
and the
like
Beast.
The Nutcracker and the Four Realms?
I didn't see that one.
Nobody did.
Beauty and the Beast. I didn't like the remake because it was pretty much just a redo or a shot-for-shot remake of the animated version.
Yeah, see, it's stuff like this that makes me worry about Aladdin and Lion King and what else are they remaking? I feel like they got a ton more on their slate, and it's just
Pinocchio.
I'm just so bored of Disney's slate right now. Like they're making Star Wars exhausting, they're making their own stuff exhausting. People are getting exhausted after Marvel movies. Maybe we'll see what happens after Endgame, but
as long as they do something different, I guess people won't get exhausted. As far as like the Marvels, they keep doing something different. At first, it was each individual character got their own movie. Then they assembled them, and then they said, "Oh, now we're doing something that it was like 10 years in the making, where they all combined together to fight one entity."
Mm.
And,
yeah,
I think
like Marvel's changed. Captain Marvel, Black Panther,
their last
Spider-Man: Homecoming.
The last thing they're probably going to do with Marvel is those team ups. You know how they had Hulk and Thor in the same movie. They'll do a couple of team ups, and then after the team ups or the buddy films, people are going to start getting exhausted.
Well, we'll see what happens for Phase 4, but I mean, at this current juncture, I'm seeing every single Disney movie opening weekend, so that clearly means I'm a liar and a shill. But I mean, I'm not happy about it.
And my recommendation for this movie: watch it when you get a chance. I was gonna say rent it, but what pushed me up to watch it when you get a chance is Alan Arkin. Man's a
Alan
genius.
Arkin's in this.
Once I saw him in the movie, I just came to life. And not only was his presentation in the movie lifts the movie as well, but I think it also raises the story around him because the story is moving really slow. It's like you're in a canoe going through a lazy river. Once Alan Arkin shows up, the story really takes off as well.
Well, he doesn't steal. He's not in it enough for me to say he steals the show, but it does make me yearn for the older days of Tim Burton. Alan Arkin and Edward Scissorhands. Just like work with all the old guys again. Bring back Michael Keaton and Danny DeVito and Alan Arkin and put them in something that's good, not boring remake of the same thing I've seen over and over again. They're all fun to watch.
You're right, because they're all talented actors, and somebody can come up with something like a really good story that works with all of them.
These are all guys that have long careers that, for the most part, have been stepped out of the spotlight. But you see them in this, and they're all pretty entertaining. So I don't know. I'd like to see them all together, or something. I'd like to see them with a little more meat on their bones, character-wise, for something else.
You're right. Now we're moving on into the spoiler section. So this is the spoiler section. Usually we say if you haven't seen Dumbo,
don't
pause the podcast and listen to the spoiler section. But in this case, you're welcome to check out the spoiler section if you want to be spoiled. Hello?
Yeah?
I thought we got disconnected.
No, you're leading into your spoilers, and I can't think of what could you possibly want to talk about spoiler-wise.
Well, here's the big question. Even I was asking this when I saw the trailer. Will we get to see the pink elephants?
Oh, yeah. Well, and yeah. Fair.
We got to see the pink elephants, but it wasn't exciting. I thought we weren't going to get to see the pink elephants. And then once they show them to us...
show the pink... I mean, you don't think of Dumbo without thinking of the pink elephants. The pink elephants are the most iconic thing in the world. In preparation for this movie, because I guess I needed to prepare, I went on YouTube and I looked up the pink elephant segment of the cartoon. I'm like, oh my god, this is so innovative and interesting. Like, this came out in the 40s or whenever the cartoon came out. This could have been made today, and it's like mind-blowing. It's almost like something out of Rick and Morty. It's so contemporary and interesting. I'm like, wow, I had no idea like a group of artists could make something like this. And then I watch it in the movie, I'm like, this is boring, just like the rest of this movie.
Yeah, because what was missing was like a psychedelic introduction into the pink elephants, whether Dumbo got drunk or whether he took some kind of recreational substance, just to...
Well, you can't have a children's movie have an elephant get drunk or whatever.
Oh, man, I miss the 40s. You could do anything and get away with it.
I miss old Tim Burton, where he had a more creative eye and he could get away with it. This version of the pink elephants kind of sucked. It's just bubbles.
And then we had the song, which they were really trying to push people to buy the album by playing the song and different versions of it.
Mm-hmm. And what song would that be?
Baby Mine.
Ah, that's what it's called.
Yeah, because I think there's supposed to be a scene in the original cartoon where the mom is singing the song to Dumbo when they get separated.
Mm-hmm.
But in this one, like you said, animals can't talk in this movie, so other people are singing the song in the background.
Yeah, and then it kind of loses whatever pathos or ethos or logos or whatever other terminology from my failed English classes I'm supposed to remember. It didn't have anything for me. And not having the elephant as a central character, kind of loses any emotional resonance that the scene should have had.
What about the theme park? Michael Keaton owns a theme park in the movie, or a circus, and it was a great callback to his work as Batman-ish, because there was this one part of the theme park that looked just like that part in Batman: Mask of the Phantasm. Welcome to the land of the future.
Well, I was just thinking of, I think it was Epcot or whatever, you know. Well, I'm pretty sure that was like a whole thing in the 40s or whatever, the Land of Tomorrow. I mean, you know, if you watch the autobiography of Captain America, the First Avenger, and they have like, you know, a scene like that in that movie.
The Stark Expo.
Yeah, same thing.
All right, now we're gonna get into the ending. The ending of the movie looked like what? The beginning of the Jungle Book or the beginning of the Lion King? Because you see Dumbo makes it to his native land. You see all the animals gathering in that little waterfall that looks like the waterfall from Jungle
Yeah,
Book.
it just looked like reused assets from the movie that was like 3 years old. And it's like, hey, John Favreau, do you still have like one of those old animation hard drives? Like, yeah, I've probably got them lying around somewhere. Can we just copy paste like you know, the marsh and the waterfalls from Jungle Book? Like, yeah, sure, whatever. Just change it to me a little green and a little less dry, and boom, there you go, new jungle.
And let me just throw in this flying elephant in the background.
Oh yeah, we just copy pasted some of the old elephants, and then we, you know, made a new elephant. We just kind of drag the sliders around so the body's small, but the ears stay the same. Boom, Dumbo.
And then we got one little note I noticed at the end, because it just threw me off. I thought I was walking into the beginning of a different live action movie. So when people finally get tired of watching these live action reboots, I think
I already am.
the next step Disney can do to get people's interest again is, you know, follow the Avengers route and take characters from other live action and put them together in their own original movie.
Yeah, the ending does make it feel like you're watching Jungle Book mix Dumbo. Where's my Disney Cinematic Universe? When's Elsa gonna meet Wreck-It Ralph? Or in this case, when is Dumbo gonna meet I don't know, Million Dollar Arm?
John Hamm.
Yeah, sure. Or one of those Indian kids.
Yeah, I hope they do that one day in the future. They take you know, all their characters are well-known characters and just throw them together in a movie. I don't know why in the history of Disney they've never done that.
Well, I don't know, because it probably sounds like a dumb gimmick. That's why we came up with it and not Disney.
And then
Although it would be killer.
Here's like a really interesting anecdote. When we were watching the movie at the theater, there was this guy that just would not move from the screen. He was watching the credits, and I guess as if he was expecting some kind of teaser or something at the end. You and I joked about him.
Yeah, I think Marvel's ruined this movie-going audience now. You know, I'm pretty sure management's pissed because they have to wait before they can clean up anything. Waiting for all these idiots. They're like, yeah, fucking Thanos is not in Dumbo. Sorry, folks.
That's what got me laughing.
Mm-hmm.
And we're like, he's probably waiting for Thanos to show up.
Yeah, I don't know. Disney, you fucked up. Well, Feige, you fucked up. You ruined it with Nick Fury. You destroyed it with Thanos. The movie-going audience is shit that ain't even Disney. People are waiting till the end for.
That's true. How many DC movies did we see where people wait till the end? Wait, something's going to come up.
Well, those cowards at DC won't put anything at the end. Well, probably because all of their movies are shit. Like to see Shazam and be disappointed by having nothing but black screen at the end, and have all the staff be pissed off that they can't clean up like the little kiddies like Coke-soaked popcorn until everybody gets out of the theater. And
with that, we lead into there's nothing at the end of the movie. So if you're watching Dumbo, the credits roll, nothing comes up at the end.
Baloo does not show up at the end and says, "I'd like to join you for the Animal Jungle Cruise initiative." Oh yeah, that's another one they're making, Jungle Cruise.
That's right. That one's. I believe it's coming out this year.
Really? Because I've never seen a single goddamn trailer. Is it coming out in the fall? You don't know.
No, I think it's coming out in the summer. I'm gonna look it up while we talk to the people. The Rock's been making a big deal about it. And
there's no trailers. How could it? I mean, Disney, you know, they milks everything for everything that's worth, but no trailers for a movie that's coming out this summer. I've only seen like one picture of him and like Emily Blunt in like a pair of khakis, and that's about it.
Oh, I guess it's been pushed back. July 24th, 2020.
Yeah, see, you haven't seen shit. Nary a trailer.
Yeah,
nary a clip.
Which is funny. I follow The Rock social medially, and he finished shooting last year. So I guess Disney must have pushed it back because they had too many properties coming out. What they have?
You've got Aladdin and Lion King coming out like a month apart, or something that ridiculous.
And you got the Avengers coming out a month apart. So you have Avengers this month,
But that's
April.
not Disney proper.
You got Elsa coming in November.
Yeah, Frozone 2. See, put Incredibles and Frozen together. Boom.
Yeah.
That's instant gold.
Sam
Jackson's already Marvel. And
yeah.
She's practically an X-Man.
You can watch Sam Jackson work with another woman again, just like in Captain Marvel.
I can take her under her wing.
And good news to everyone that's a Jack Lloyd fan listening to our podcast. The kid from Star Wars, Episode 1.
Episode 1. Ewan McGregor? Obi-Wan?
No, the little kid, Anakin, Annie.
Little kid. Oh, the little kid that looked like Greedo?
No. The one that grows up to be Darth Vader.
Hayden Christensen?
Before him. The person that was cast before him.
Sebulba?
No, the little kid. Jake Lloyd.
Oh, you're getting confused because Jar Jar Binks has the mental capacity of a child.
Well, I was going to make a big deal for all those fans that we did not make fun of him in this podcast. We were 2 in a row, and today we broke the streak.
Well, that's your business, not mine. I wouldn't even think of that guy. What's his name?
Jake Lloyd.
I already forgot.
Well, everyone, thank you very much for listening to this podcast. We try to keep it short, but we love movies so much. Once we get on a roll, it's hard for us to get off that roll. Thank you for listening to this podcast, whether it's on the Anchor app, Spotify, CastBox, Google Podcasts. We're almost on everything. Thank you for watching our podcast on YouTube. Search for us at Platitude Era, or follow us socially, Twitter at Platitude Era, or Instagram at Platitude Era Show. And everyone, till the next one.